Today's episode of Wine Time Fridays is brought to you in part by our friends at Eternal Wine and Seasons of Coeur.
It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil. And we have a guest with us this week. This is episode 322, Friday, June 19th. Happy Friday, Shelley. It's wine time.
Happy Friday.
There's a story about the bell. Our listeners get so tired of hearing it. So we will just say we have with us the winemaker for Cinder Winery down in the Boise area, greater Boise area.
Yeah.
And we've actually had Cinder wines on this podcast a number of times that we feature, but we've never actually done a full feature like we're going to do today. But we were down there for Shelley's birthday weekend, October of 2024. And Cinder was our first stop while we had a little time to play with. The reception wine poured that day, Melanie, was a 2023, can you pronounce it?
Ville des Jardins.
Ville des Jardins. And we're
which they no longer make.
Which you no longer make, right?
Oh, well, it's kind of morphed. We make Ville des Jardins still. It's a dry Muscat Blanc based wine, but it's become what is the Laissez Faire white blend.
So really? Oh, so excited. Well, welcome to Wine Time Fridays.
We feel like it fit that brand better than Cinder. So it's still around. Just new identity.
Fantastic. Well, so our listeners don't really know about your second label, which we will get into immediately. In fact, let's just do it right now. I was going to say, welcome to Wine Time Fridays, Melanie. Thank you for being here because I know I keep talking.
I was wondering when you were going to let me have a drink.
Sorry about that. I'm just such a party foul. Just opened at 2024.
I'm hot and tired, so
right.
Let's start.
Shelley, do you want to say what we just opened?
A 2024 Laissez Faire Proprietary white.
No, this is the rosé. Sorry, I changed them. This is the Cinder Dry.
Obviously, it's a rosé.
Yes, it's
there first.
Dry rosé of Tempranillo. Oh. There we go.
Laissez Faire rosé of Tempranillo.
To health, wealth, and abundance. What's wrong?
Your phone is doing a strange thing.
Oh, I must have accidentally said that SIRI. To health, wealth, and abundance, gratitude, romance,
and peace on earth.
Cheers.
Boom. Oh, gosh.
This is a good way to start the weekend. That's really nice.
Thank you.
Melanie, is this 100% Tempranillo?
Yeah, it is. Do you want me to tell you about it?
I would love that.
Sure. Well, these grapes, this Tempranillo, is from a vineyard in Adrian, Oregon, which is local to the Boise area. So our viticulture area, the Snake River Valley, is about 85% in Idaho, a little bit over into Oregon, though. And so this is a big vineyard on the Oregon side of our AVA. And they have a lot of Tempranillo, most of which we make into red Tempranillo, but this one I make into the rosé. I love it because it's so crisp. And as you were mentioning, we have this second label, Laissez Faire, and we just recently built a wine bar for it. It's on the green belt. And so this is a beautiful wine to just be sitting on the river, looking at the trees on a hot summer day, sipping a crisp rosé of Tempranillo.
It's on the walk, you said?
On the water.
On the walk.
It's on the the Boise River Greenbelt, which is well, the Boise River Greenbelt is this beautiful bike and walking path that goes all along the Boise River. It goes about 30 miles through downtown Boise up to our reservoir and out into some of the neighboring towns like Eagle. And so our wine pub, as we like to call it, because it's so fun and casual, is right on that greenbelt with a view of I'd say the river, but it's mostly hidden by incredible trees. So it's more of a treescape that you look into.
Is that they had the bridge that went over it?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
We walked along there for a couple of miles.
Yeah, it said no spitting, no standing, no peeing off the bridge or something like that. I might have taken a picture of that. I'm sure I did.
Well, boys love their bridges, and we really love to hurl ourselves off of them into the water
Well,
for fun. For fun.
When it's hot, you got to do it. How
If the
long?
water's too shallow, they put up warning signs.
Right? Yeah, exactly. How
Because it's a
long?
thing in Boise to jump off the bridges into the river.
Right. How long does this stay on the skins?
It doesn't take very long. I would say we destem it into our bins or straight into the press, but the press is all closed up, and watch it for an hour or two, checking in on the color every 30 minutes or so, and then usually we hit the press after that. But like our Rosé of Syrah just goes straight into the press through the destemmer, and we start to press it immediately. It's so bright. And then, for example, our Rosé of Cinsault, we probably leave on skins for 5 hours or something to get just the nearest amount of color.
And with stems and everything, you said?
No, we put it through the destemmer so that it gets a light crushing, and then that slight tearing of the skin is what allows the color to come out into the juice and makes the beautiful rosé color.
I love that. This is fantastic. Again, so all of the 4 wines that we're tasting today are now available at Seasons of Coeur as of this week. And so they brought in, I'm not sure I think I know which ones are by the bottle, but I'm not going to say. There are 2 by the bottles and 2 by the glass. So 4 different choices. And, I'm just going to say this right now. Daniel was kind of blown away when we did this tasting. I was invited to participate, which I don't know why, but I didn't say no. And it was fantastic. This is the first time I had a chance of tasting this, because I don't think we had this at the Cinder tasting room. I want to say we did not, but we may have. Anyway, this is delicious. And what would you pair with this, Melanie?
Thank you. I mean, anything that you're eating in the sun.
Yeah.
Period.
Summer wine, any sort of summer dinner.
I love that. I love that.
I don't need to be super picky with it. It's a really bright, fresh wine. It's going to pair with tons of things. I think it's more about the mood.
So, Melanie, you are a winemaker, and we have a series called Women in Wine, which this falls perfectly under. What is your background as a winemaker?
Well, it depends on how far you want to go back. But if you want to do like the really early stories, my parents have a garden that has about 45 different grape varieties in it. They're hobby gardeners, not professional, but they have the most incredible garden I've ever seen. And so when I was a kid, we would go and smash up grapes in jars in our playhouse, which was actually a goat house that we stole from the goats to turn into our playhouse. And we would set these jars of fermenting grapes up there, and then we'd smell them and pretend we were sophisticated wine drinkers. We never actually drank that wine because we were afraid that we were going to poison ourselves. But now looking back on it, I'm like, we probably could have drank that and been fine.
Because it was grape juice. It was grape juice.
It was grapes that were fermenting. I mean, that's what I do now professionally, just on a larger scale.
Yeah, right. Where was this?
That's in Boise, Idaho, where I grew
Okay.
up. And then I
Okay.
went to school at Washington State, and I did not get a viticulture enology degree. I got biology and Spanish degrees. Those served me very well.
Yeah.
Biology kind of covers a lot of what an enology viticulture degree would be, and Spanish has been
Sure.
very handy. And then I learned the specifics of winemaking on the job, working for Chateau Ste. Michelle for 2 years in the vineyard side, and then transitioning over to the winery for another 4 years. And then Joe and I moved back to my hometown of Boise and started Cinder, and that was 20 years ago. This is our anniversary, 20th anniversary year, so we're doing a lot of celebrations for that.
Um,
It's been a very fun journey.
Last Saturday, you had a big, kind of the big celebration at your winery, 20 years, but you have a number of things going on still. You have something going on in July. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, July 15 and 16, we have a multi-day celebration going on in McCall, Idaho. So if anybody wants to come to a beautiful resort town, try out McCall. It's fantastic. We'll be doing a party on the 15th and the 16th, a winemaker's dinner. The party is in this amazing space called the Glass House, which is right on Payette Lake. Gorgeous views. It's going to be an amazing party. That's all I have to say. Wine, DJ, dancing.
Yeah. 20 years is no small feat. First of all, I mean, to get a winery through their first vintage, sometimes you're talking, 2 to 4 or 5 years. And sometimes that's just not sustainable, especially on the front end. So 20 years, congratulations. That's
That's amazing.
it's
Yeah.
really monumental and it's fantastic.
Thank you. I'm happy to report that I still enjoy my job, and I think the company continues to get more exciting. As you know, the older it is and the more we grow it, the more fun and exciting it is. So
Oh, that's a great sign. That's a
Yeah.
great sign. Brad Binko, who the winemaker at Eternal, one of the sponsors for this episode, who is now across the border into the Oregon side, but just like right there at the border, from Walla Walla and Milton Freewater. Um, he's. I asked him the last time we were there, "Are you still having fun?" He said, "I'm having a blast." How about you, Phil? Are you and Shelly still having fun with your podcast? And I'm like, it's a great question because there's a lot of work that goes into it. As you grow something, there's more and more, right? And so, um, I we're still having fun, but it's a little bit different than episode one, episode 322,
yeah,
So
that's a lot of episodes. Wow.
let's move on to the second,
Laissez Faire.
Laissez Faire. Thank you. She's our French speaker here. The proprietary white. Now, this, you say, Melanie, is kind of very much like that Ville de Jardin.
Very
Okay,
good.
I'm getting close.
Which is means Garden City in French, and our winery is located in Garden City, which is a little city entirely enclosed by the city of Boise. They're towns, really, but large towns.
But so
So
boys are wrapped around them?
yes, Garden
Oh.
City was a neighborhood. It was mostly, well, in the old days, it was Chinese gardens. They farmed and then fed the miners during the gold rush. And then it always kept its kind of own character as a neighborhood. And when Boise decided to outlaw gambling, Garden City decided to incorporate and keep gambling. And so that's how a city completely enclosed in another city was born.
That's so
Very
interesting.
smart.
That's where our winery is because there's lots of warehouses there. So we found a big fruit packing warehouse and converted it to a winery. Which fortunately didn't take much work, just some electrical work and move
Sure.
some equipment in and
It's a that yeah,
It's really cozy.
very cozy, and this nose is unbelievable. Hashtag cheersing.
Cheersing. Whoa.
cheers.
Cheers.
Well, the nose was created by Muscat Blanc. So this is a blend, but what you're smelling is the incredible aromas of Muscat. It's so floral. That's another good reason for the Ville des Jardins name. So now, this label that we're drinking doesn't say it yet, but we're going to transfer the name over from the Cinder brand to the Laissez Faire brand because I think the Ville des Jardins fits that character. For years, we've had the Laissez Faire brand, but we've only ever made one white and one red, both blends. But when we built our wine pub on the river, we needed to expand the portfolio. So
Sure.
few of the loved Cinder wines are actually landing over in the Laissez Faire location, rebranded.
Well, I first of all was blown away by a reception wine period to begin with. Hello, welcome to Cinder. You know,
Here's a
boom,
glass.
it's
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm assuming you still do that. It's fantastic. I don't know why more wineries in their tasting rooms don't. It's a hello, welcome, thanks for choosing us. You know, we're already family in a sense. So it was a really good feeling like that. And then the wine was like, I'm like, oh my God, this is a really good wine they're pouring for the reception wine, you know? So it gets people in the mood, I think,
Thank
you
you.
know.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to relax when you've got a glass of wine in your hands.
Boy,
And we're
Right.
pouring just a sip, but still, yeah, a little sip of wine brings everybody's blood pressure down.
I think so. And these days we need our blood pressure brought down, you know? It's a good anything to bring our blood pressure down.
So you said it's a muscat, and then what else?
Yeah, so that's what you're smelling because muscats, in their all of their many renditions, it's such an old grape, such an ancient grape that it's more like a family than like a single variety because it's spread all over the world and it slowly, slowly changes. So you've got all these synonyms and stuff. Anyway, super interesting grape because it's so old. It is so apparent on the aroma that I can blend other white wines in, and that's still what you're smelling. So even though this is a blend that has a fair amount of like Viognier and some Gruner Veltliner, and it doesn't really matter what the other white wines are because what you're smelling is the Muscat.
Uh, what's
And
the
I just want to mention that it's dry, which
I
is
was just
maybe
about to ask what the residual sugar is on this because it, you know, this whole thing about fruity sometimes comes across as sweet
yeah.
and it's just fruity, but it's not necessarily sweet.
Yes, that's exactly it. It tricks the mind. It's completely dry, meaning there's no sugar in it, but it's so fruity that even if you are a fan of sweet wines or you're a fan of dry wines, if you're wanting something sweet, it's so fruity, it's going to trick you. And if you're into dry wines, you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is delicious. I'm surprised I like something that's fruity on the nose.
How many cases do
Yeah.
you make of this? This is just stunning.
It is.
Thank you. I think it's around 500 cases a year level. Now that we have our new beautiful wine pub on the river, hopefully more. We hope to
And
see
how
that
long has that been open?
1 year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like in a
We
month.
did, we did miss it, which means we need to go back.
Yeah.
We had
Absolutely.
a really nice trip that it was like 4 or 5 days in October. Celebrated Shelley's 39th birthday that year, and something like
I'm
that.
in a group of women called Polka Dot Powerhouse, and I guess Treasure Valley chapter is very big. So that's where we had our celebration.
Was in Boise.
What does Polka Dot Powerhouse do?
It's all women, and I mean, we can't say no men, but
Well, they kicked me out multiple times.
But we have monthly meetings. And you don't have to have a business, but it's a networking and connecting group. So we have a
Okay,
lot. So
that
and
sounds
it's not like a networking group like where you have a category and only certain people can join. Anyone can join.
And they really, I was super impressed. It's a group that lifts up women and just honors and lifts up women in just all walks of life. And it was, it was really obvious. It's designed for women. Shelley's like texting. I'm in the room upstairs at the hotel. trying to come up with pictures and designs and working. And she's like, I'm kind of cold. Can you bring me my sweater? I'm like, sure. I'm like, how am I gonna? Their colors are orange and pink, so it's like, how am I supposed to find Shelly in this room of 250 women?
Of orange and pink.
And I did, but it was so, it was a lot of energy. It was very impressive. I was quite impressed. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. By the way, this is a good segue because Shelly is about to launch her Kickstarter for her 2027 physical planner and was at a polka dot meeting a couple weeks ago and all sorts of interest. So it's kind of fun. Kind of fun.
It's a nationwide and worldwide organization, but worldwide part is English speaking countries. So right now, England, Ireland, I think South Africa.
Yeah.
So it's a big
Well, if we need a spot to host an event, we can hold up to about 120 at Cinder.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's interesting. In the Cinder, so describe that because the tasting room, I guess it was big-ish. 120 seems like it'd be packing them in. Is there another place, or you would do that in the?
That's in the tasting room. Yeah, 120 is if it's like standing in past apps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big tasting room.
It is. We kind of got comfy on one little couch right there next to the bar and probably didn't move for 5 hours. In fact, they asked us politely to leave 3 times. We had a good time.
It was very nice.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to move on to the actual Cinder labels when we come back.
Yeah. So welcome back to Wine Time Fridays, episode 322.
Yeah.
Featuring Cinder wines with Melanie Krause. And we are going to go to our third wine, which is the Cinder label.
Yeah.
Not the Laissez Faire.
What will you be doing with your wine?
I have my own
Did
big dump bucket.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't bring a dump bucket, so
I
will
see where your dump bucket is. So you'll have to watch the YouTube. I'll tell you, that's if you have to dump it, that's a great place to put it. If you have to. This is the 2025 Cinder Dry Viognier. I think that's actually very smart marketing to put dry on it because I think people think Viognier as being sweet. And so you're like cutting all of that out and just saying, really?
Just fruity.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you talk about people, Riesling and stuff. I don't really like. Well, Riesling out of Germany is actually produced dry in that style, So anyway,
it's a confusion. So I like to just be straightforward.
Heck yeah.
Dry. If it's off dry, name it off dry. I don't make very many sweet wines, but every once in a while, dessert wine, and of course, that would be labeled appropriate. So let's just cut to the chase and say what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't need any confusion. Shelly, confused people don't purchase. Yes.
Confused customers don't convert.
That's true. Well, hashtag Jersey.
This is also really nice.
Thank you. This is our flagship wine for Cinder Winery. We make more of it and sell more of it than any other wine. It's really the wine that convinced me I could move back to Boise and still do my career of choice. I was making wine in Washington State, enjoying that, but I was checking out Boise, like thinking, could I move back there? How's the wine there? So I was spying on the wine industry, and I was a judge for the Idaho Wine Competition, so I could taste everything everybody was making.
Super smart move right there.
Taking a lot of notes for 3 years. I did that, and the Viogniers were striking. There were about 5 people making Viogniers. maybe 3 of them professionals and a couple kind of garages. All of them, you could smell the fruit, the shine, it just shone through, the balance, the acidity. It was such a put together Viognier, even maybe with a little bit of clumsy winemaking. I was amazed, like, okay, this is a grape that we can hang our hats on. It's world class. And then the other 2 wines I loved in that spying journey were Syrah and Tempranillo. But
Oh yeah.
Viognier has always been kind of a passion of mine since the beginning. Like, we're definitely going to make that. And even if nobody knows what it is or how to pronounce it, it's going to be a great grape for us. And that's happened. Yeah, we make about 1,000 cases of it, which is about 20% of our total production.
So at Rivora Winery, somebody came into the tasting room and asked for Viognier. Instead of that? Viognier.
It's
wow.
It's an education.
That's a really good pronunciation of it. I mean, I hear Viognier, but
and our friend can't pronounce Pinot Noir as Pinot Noir, and it's like, we just keep working with people, trying to strip the pretentiousness out of it, but still help them along the adventure, right?
Well, people like to ask me, what would I tell like my 20-year-old self if I could? I'd be like, take a French class, for God's sake. You're going to end up in the wine industry. You really ought to know some French. I didn't, but oh well.
I took 5 years of French.
Which is why I keep leaning this way whenever we get into French pronunciations, because I'm completely lost.
But
Donde está Casa de Pepe?
No.
That's what I'm in Spanish. So last week we featured a Cinder, one of your Verdejos, because last Friday, a week ago today, was Verdejo Day. And so this is like a Cinder month. We are celebrating Cinder 20 years and just throwing as many Cinder wines out there as possible to really celebrate your winery, Melanie, because you're making great wines. Idaho is making great wines. And Shelley, why is that?
There are no small potatoes.
That's exactly right. We have a couple, 3 more weeks to say that.
We do. So it was the Viognier that convinced you Idaho could make good wines.
Yes.
And the
Tempranillo and Syrah were also impressive, but there's lots of people that make great Tempranillo and Syrah, or at least Syrah. Syrah is versatile. It's grown all over the world in all sorts of manners and different flavor profiles, and it's great. But Viognier is much trickier, much more picky, I think, about where it's grown, whether or not it's going to shine or not. So that to me was special.
Yeah.
If you are watching on YouTube, the reason Melanie's lavender is doing so well is she actually feeds it wine from time to time, and it just so aromatic.
True.
This is great. I feel like we should talk a little bit more about this, but I wanted to ask Melanie, have you noticed we've got change in our climate that's going on. Have you noticed that helping or hurting or neither what you're growing, like this Viognier? What is growing Viognier? What does it need in your vineyards to thrive? By the way, Melanie said she was in her vineyard all day today.
Right.
Working the vineyard, working the soil.
Well, not exactly. We don't have vineyards. We buy all of our grapes from 7 growers in the Snake River Valley. So I was walking vineyards, checking through, especially looking at yields, like how are they doing clusters per vine and stuff like that, looking at how the crop's coming along. So I was hot and dusty, but I was not working the soil. Let's be clear. But there's a reason why I went from the vineyard side to the winery side. I'm not going to go back.
Well, but I mean, here we are mid-June, and how are those vineyards looking?
Good. Yeah, it was kind of a dicey spring just because we had such a mild winter. Everything opened up, did bud break
Really?
really early, and it was kind of chilly. But there's a nice crop set on. It's moderate. It's not high. This time of year, sometimes I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh, that's going to have some crop reduction on it. But everything's looking very kind of dialed in already. So I don't
Good.
anticipate asking my growers to drop very much fruit. We may be a
Yeah.
little bit short. I might need to be doing a little bit of spot buying where I pick up some extra
Got it.
fruit that I don't have under long-term contract.
You're basically outside the window of any horrendous weather event, right? You're not going to be seeing hail necessarily at this time, and even if it was light, it probably is not knocking berries off or anything like that.
We're into a pretty safe zone. We'd need some extraordinary weather to, I mean, it's possible, of course, but not super likely at this point that we have a
Good.
something really terrible happen.
Ah,
That's good.
get that out of the window.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the red in our lineup?
Yes.
Okay. You go
I
ahead and
guess,
jump.
although, if you don't mind, I'd like to expound on Viognier just a little bit.
Oh, I wish you
Yeah.
would. Thank you. I'm putting this right
Just,
back.
you can cut it or not, but just talking about Viognier, it's a grape that's incredibly aromatic. It also has a lot of texture. And so what we find is a lot of folks who are like, oh, I only drink red wine. When they drink a Viognier, they're like, wow, this is really substantial. This is really tastes great to me. And so we can convert people back to being white wine drinkers through this wine. It's like the red drinkers white
Yeah.
wine. And so I love that aspect of it. Also, the fact that it does amazing in the Snake River Valley. But as far as pairing goes, lots of people ask me about pairing it. So Viognier is a substantial white wine. It doesn't need to be paired. It can be on its own. It has great aromas, good mid palate texture, and on the finish there is a little bit of a grapefruit skin sort of pungency, a little bit of bitterness. I don't like to pair it with things like arugula salad or things that are already in that zone of pungent, maybe bitter greens or something. I like to do opposites with Viognier. So I like to do creamy soups, cheeses, beet salad with goat cheese comes to mind, all the bisques in the winter. These things, the liveliness of the Viognier just will clean your palate. And then you dive back into the richness of whatever the food is. So that's kind of my recommendation for pairings.
The mouthfeel for this is amazing. And now that you mentioned the whole grapefruit aspect, it's not like a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc where you've got that tartness, but I get the underlying grapefruit flavor, which I would not have unless you mentioned that because I really concentrated on that last mouthful. It wasn't a full mouthful, it was a half mouthful, and it coated my tongue. But if you let that wine wash over and just give it a second to do what it should be doing, and I got that grapefruit. It was amazing. I would never have thought that with a Viognier.
I always get peaches.
Yeah,
Sure.
well,
Yeah, peaches is a big descriptor for me too in Viognier, but I think that's kind of why what red wine drinkers like Viognier is because they're used to tannins, they're used to really substantial wines. And Viognier is a substantial wine. It is not like a wimpy, oh, I'm drinking alcoholic water type of wine. It's got aromas, it's got texture, and the finish is kind of strong. And this, I think, is kind of why it appeals. But it's not what I would call like an entry white wine. It's a white wine for people who are the black coffee drinkers and the red wine drinkers of the world, and not the
but would
Goulet
you?
drinkers.
I mean, even people that are just starting on drinking wine because they hear it's really fun and really great, and there's a lot to it. I think this would actually be fantastic for it. I think for these, not by any stretch of the imagination am I a sophisticated wine drinker, but 322 episodes, we have some experience now. Um, I would drink this and I would get certain things out of it, but I believe the person on the front end of their wine journey would also enjoy this a lot. So I think it would cover the gambit as well, in my personal opinion.
Sure. Well, it's definitely fruity enough, if this is your first sip of wine. But I mean, I would go more maybe with something with a little less texture and bite on the end. But yeah, I mean, sure, lots of people come to our winery and they're kind of having their first wine experience, and the Viognier makes a good impression.
Yeah, I absolutely. Well, thank you for that extra bit of info on the Viognier.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly what we're looking for.
now, by the way, we have not talked about this at all. I have this in my notes. You guys don't have it. I always add to my notes. I am going to open the 2023 Cinder Syrah. And here's the thing. All of these wines have twist caps. And we touched on it last week with a Verdeja. I believe
Verdeja?
Verdejo.
That's good.
Well, it could have been a female bottle.
It could have been.
Don't start with me.
Okay, I'm gonna get rid of my Viognier and the lavender.
Which I find this semi-comical because I know she's going to pour a glass to drink the whole thing later. So we touched on it last week with the Verdejo. This is the 2023.
Remember?
Yes, I do. And you frowned at me. I believe most, if not all, of your wines have screw caps. And if they don't all, you're going to screw caps, right?
We switched entirely, one fell swoop, all wines to screw caps.
Nice. And so do you have anything even in your library that have cork still, or they?
Yeah, the library, of course, whatever was put under cork is still under cork. But when we decided to make the switch, we made it completely red and white wines.
Yeah, good for you.
When was that?
Sorry?
When was that? That you made-
I think it was 2 years ago. Way too late for me, about 18 years too late. But when we were starting up and we needed to buy a bottling line, you couldn't find anything used or reasonably priced that was a screw cap bottling line. So we needed to buy used equipment because we were starting our winery on a shoestring. So we bought a 20-year-old bottling line, cork bottling line, and then it took us whatever that was, 17 years or something, to be like, okay, we're ready to take the plunge and buy a brand new bottling line, and we'll have it be cork and screw cap in case we ever do, we do a small amount of custom crush. So we'll put our clients' wines under cork if they want us to. But for the Cinder and the Laissez Faire, I believe in the science of the screw cap, that it makes for better wine, that it's not a problem with aging as long as your wine is well treated before it goes in. And what I mean by well treated is that it's well made. It's beautiful wine. Right. There's no flaws with it. You put that under a screw cap and it's going to age beautifully. So I didn't do any I'm going to do the whites but not the reds. I just changed the whole thing.
And voila.
And voila. What people don't know is when I'm prepping for our episodes, I get the wines and I put them down in the cellar, and they've got their own spot to go. So I know episode such as these wines, episode such as these wines, and I have these laying in there. I'm like, I can stand these up, which I did, and it's really cool. I know there's this thought about romance with the cork, and that's all well and good, but I think we're helping to change this, and so are you. The screw caps, no indication of quality whatsoever. These will be just fine. You still have to store them in a dark and cool place with no vibration, no big temperature fluctuation. But stand them up. You don't have to lay them down. It's all good, unless I'm wrong.
No, I believe that to be true. But I mean, for me, really, the choice came down to, we're really meticulous in our tasting room. Every bottle is smelled and checked. And even the International Cork Council will say like, oh, approximately 4% of corks contain cork taint. And then based on the company you're buying cork from, they might say that it's way less or we don't have cork taint, but it's there. We smell it. We call the wine out, and that's an outrageously high fail rate. Like,
And I
what
think they're
bottom
lying.
world
And I
would put up with a 4% fail rate?
and I think they're lying. I think it's
And
closer to
basic.
10 or 11%. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
4% on a good day, you know.
Yeah. And I mean,
Okay.
they were great, 100 years ago or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's just a piece of tree bark, and
Yeah, they didn't
it's
have anything back then.
Yeah,
like
that's
this,
right.
so
Well,
you
and
have to work with what you have.
yeah, and it is an amazing material, especially, when it's in under your foot as a Birkenstock, but maybe not guarding your $80 whatever bottle of wine. Maybe we can do a little bit better with science to actually keep the product safe, not just the romantic experience of opening it. Because boy, is that
there's
a
other
bummer when
things
you
that,
open a wine
yeah,
that has
there's other
cork
things
taint.
that are romantic. Australia is 98% screw caps. So, there you go, right?
Yeah.
Like cheersing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's pretty glass as well. Smells so good, I don't want to drink it.
Mm.
Mm.
This is very fruity. I've got a very important question for this,
Uh-oh.
like right now.
Okay, tell me.
Well, because it's gonna basically dictate what we have for dinner tonight. What would you pair this with? This is really good, and the finish on it is very long. I feel like I'm repeating myself for the same things I said down at Seasons during that tasting. It's good that it's all consistent, but yeah.
Well, this Syrah is a really good balance between savory and fruity. So you've got notes of like stewed blackberry and raspberry cooked, I think, like a compote.
Oh,
But you also
yeah.
have some meatiness, a little hint of smoke from the barrels and from the fruit itself. It's a pretty savory grape variety. And so you could go with something like grilled and gamey, or you could take it into something lighter like a pork dish. I mean, I personally love to eat it with a lot of heavy meat dishes. It's got smooth tannins though. Syrah normally does. It has smoother tannins than say like your Bordeaux varieties, way smoother than Tempranillo. So if you want to, having lighter dishes will work. Salmons, pork dishes, chickens, these things will,
Yeah.
it's required with a Syrah that you have something huge and fatty like a filet mignon or something like that.
Also 100%?
No, this has 5% Viognier in it approximately. So we always co-ferment a little bit of Viognier, and we usually put a little bit of Mourvèdre in it as well. So in the 5% range, the Mourvèdre is really acidic, a little lighter. It kind of tends to make the Syrah finish a little bit more balanced and lingery instead of it being just kind of like all meatiness on the end.
It's interesting because I think it's Syrah only that I know of that winemakers will, gotta get the label up there, will actually blend a little Viognier in there. I don't know of any other red wine that's the case. Is that true? And if so, why is that? Is it just the Syrah grape is so conducive to that little bit of Viognier to soften that up a bit?
Well, it's an old Northern Rhone tradition. I don't know how they came about this, but fields used to be blended grape varieties. We
Mhm.
didn't have nurseries and we couldn't go and order like, oh, I want 20 acres worth of pure Syrah. And so somehow through the evolution of these field blends, they came to understand that Syrah and Viognier made a great combo. And sometimes as a new world winemaker, I do things that are really wild or wouldn't be legal in Europe, and sometimes I stick with the classics. And so in the
Yeah.
case of Viognier co-fermented with Syrah, I think it's a great um, combination, delicious wine, and so I'm just sticking with that technique.
And it's proven.
Yeah.
Quid pro.
Quid pro quo. Proved.
Thus
Thus it is proven. Yeah. Um, this is so good. Should we talk real quick about the Pilgrim's Market wine words of the week?
Sure.
Okay, it's phenolic ripeness.
You want me to talk about that?
Okay.
Refers to the stage of maturity in grapes where the tannins in the skin, seeds, and stems have softened and developed, transitioning from harsh or bitter to smooth and well integrated, which is essential for creating balanced, structured wine.
I believe this wine right here is the quintessential part of that definition because this is already softened up in the glass.
Yeah. It's true.
What does phenolic ripeness come to mind? Any other definition to you, Melanie?
I thought that was an excellent definition. I can expound on it a little bit. Like when I'm making picking decisions in the vineyard, sometimes it happens that I feel like a grape is unable to make phenolic ripeness before the alcohol, or it's really the sugar at that stage, has gotten too high. For example, like if a vineyard has really, really exposed grapes in our climate, like if Cabernet has, say, no leaves around it, it's totally exposed to the sun, it will end up getting a little bit wrinkled and the
Mm.
sugar's rising because it's dehydrating. But maybe it's still early in the fall, say mid-September, early October or something. I don't want to see that in my grapes. I want to see them pretty plump and a little bit shaded, because if the grapes are getting a little dehydrated, or they're it's a really hot fall or something like that, and they're gaining sugar really fast, they won't have reached phenolic ripeness. Like the tannins, even when you eat the berry, they will really dry your mouth out. They'll be really astringent, and yet your hand is being forced. Like, I want to pick these grapes because the sugar's so high so that I make a balanced wine, but I might make a wine that is too astringent or a little bit green. So sometimes I wish we had like ideal grape choices every time, but it doesn't always happen.
Thanks, Mother
Sometimes I'm
Nature.
faced with the decision of like, what do I want? Like, do I want to deal with high alcohol, or do I want to have slightly underripe phenols or tannins that are too astringent, is kind of the way that I like to call it.
It's a dance, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a dance with Mother Nature.
Yeah. Well,
We have
better
to
to be
make
a
choices.
competition. Don't try to compete with because Mother Nature will win every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more of a, think of it like a sword fight with someone who's way stronger, and all you can do is hope to survive.
Yep, perfect.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So when you are out there in the vineyards, do you get to make the decision about, like, this is what I want to deal with instead of this, and they will pick them when you ask them to?
Yes, I make the picking decision. Of course, we have to come to an agreeable date that works with both of our companies, but within a day or two, 3 days maybe, we can usually come up with a mutually agreeable date. So I watch the vineyards really closely. I'm out tasting and checking the sugar or the bricks, and saying, I try to give my growers a lot of warning, like, we're 10 days off. Okay, we're a week off. Okay, now we're going to actually narrow in on the date.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Because it can change really fast if you're not careful. I mean, that it can change like very fast,
Just
right?
like Idaho weather.
Yeah, just like out of weather. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we watch the weather. So if I know that we've got a week straight of 90-degree temperature or something, I'm anticipating these grapes are going to be ripe faster than if we're dealing with 75-degree weather. So that's all part of the calculations and the conversation with the growers.
You made mention about some of the vines, not a lot of leaves or canopy or whatever. Does that actually happen to where you don't have a lot of cover on the grapes? Because that canopy is really important on keeping those grapes cool during those hot days, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really only happens in young vineyards where they
Oh,
don't
okay.
have a fully mature canopy. So it was top of mind for me because I was checking vineyards today, and there's a young block that is only in its third year of production. And so for the first 2 years, the canopy was really light. It had a lot of grapes. They did a good job of managing it, and they reduced the fruit to the amount of yield that I wanted. But they're so exposed to the sun that I don't think there was a whole lot they could do about them becoming a little bit on the raisiny side. And so I had that hard decision to make. Like, do I let it get incredibly high in sugar, or do I bring in grapes that might be a little bit phenolically underripe or have a little bit of those green notes like the bell pepper and dried herb notes? So
Or create something
kind of
that's in
cut it in
step,
half. I have a slightly high alcohol, slightly herby wine.
or something that's in the
Not
spirit and
ideal,
style. Amarone. Amarone on the vine.
but yeah.
Oh my gosh. Some wines we had and enjoyed this week.
Yeah.
It's all you.
Me?
Yeah, because you read French.
This is Italian. Villa Antinori Toscana Bianco. K. Vintners The Deal Syrah. Brown Family Vineyards Chardonnay. Ackerman Family Vineyards Cabernet Sauvignon,
Yeah, from Napa.
which you love.
It was very good.
And Will Pinot Noir and Thesis Chardonnay. There was no French in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just write the notes.
Uh,
What's coming up June 20th? That's tomorrow. Drink Chenin Blanc Day. The 21st, which is Sunday. Lambrusco Day. National Croatian Wine Day is also on the 21st. And then June 15th to the 21st, Prosecco Week. A whole week for Prosecco.
A whole week, yeah.
Do you enjoy a good Prosecco there, Melanie?
Definitely. Yeah.
It's a stupid question. I don't know why I even asked.
What was I going to say no to that?
Also, our annual 4th of July episode, which will drop the day before the 4th. Hey, look, last year we made a huge mistake by buying a blue wine, and we'll basically cotton candy. We'll never, ever, ever do that again. But this year we're going to have a wine that has a blue label on it.
Yeah. There's that. So have we forgotten anything that you'd like to tell us that all of our listeners should know about?
I mean, I guess sometimes I like to talk about why Idaho or Snake River Valley is a good wine growing region, because a lot of people think about Idaho and they think about like cold and snowy and Sun Valley and
potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes the Snake River Valley such a fertile place to grow great grapes and make great wine?
The Snake River Valley is an amazing place to grow grapes, and lots of people won't necessarily, that won't be top of mind when they think about Idaho. They might think about snow, Sun Valley, they might think about potatoes, of course. But the reason why I love making wine here is because desert climates make great consistent wine. So we have true winters here, which helps the vines reset. They go dormant, and it also helps pests and fungus and stuff. It kind of tamps them down. So we have fewer pests to deal with in warmer than warmer regions have. And then our growers have almost complete control over the water that reaches the vine through drip irrigation. So it means that a huge amount of the stylizing of the wine that we do can start in the vineyard instead of just in the winery. Excuse me. So we only get about 12 or so inches of rain here in the Snake River Valley, and almost all of it is snow in the winter or rain really early in the springtime. Between about, I would say, like May and November, there's almost no rain. And so our growers can apply the water drop by drop to the vineyards, and they can really decide, like, do we want a 3-foot canopy? Do we want a 5-foot canopy? What kind of style are we going for? How much yield? There's an immense amount of control for growing in a desert on drip irrigation. And then the other thing that I really love is that in the fall, we have the most gorgeous falls here. They're warm, but chilly at night. They're dry. We don't get rainstorms. So we can just watch our grapes ripen without really, except for maybe a few rare occasions, worrying about, say, a rainstorm coming in, blowing up our grapes, making them rot, stuff like that. So there's a ton of amazing things about growing wine here, and I just want to let everybody know that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Idaho's up and coming for sure.
it's evident. Well, my glass is empty. That should say all that needs to be said. It's evident in the juice that's being produced, and especially from Cinder. But there are other Idaho wineries that are doing really, really good work and producing great wine. We just had the great fortune of having Melanie Krause, winemaker at Cinder, on today. And thank you, Melanie, very, very much. Thank you for making really good wine. Here, let's do this. Just like that. Here's to another 20 years of Cinder wine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure to talk with you guys.
Well, with a little, I should say, a huge thanks to today's sponsors, Eternal Wine and Seasons of Coeur, where you can find all of these wines now, today. New wine menu is up, and go down and try these for yourself with a little bit of knowledge. Wine becomes a lot less overwhelming. Thank you for being here. See you next week. I'm not sure who we're going to have. I don't know. We're still confirming. But we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bring us out, Shelley.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets, for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you, to health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.